A lot of people nowadays are asking me if Advantage Plus or Advantage shopping campaigns are worth their time. And the honest truth is, there are some pros and cons about it. So I'm not gonna waste any more time. Let's dive right into it. So first, Advantage Shopping or Advantage Plus is a tool that Facebook is promoting, and so are a lot of experts and gurus and agencies. It can make a Facebook ad account look more attractive, but the bottom line for your business might not improve, and in fact, it could make things a lot worse. So to start with, let's break down how Advantage Plus actually works, because I don't see anyone actually talking about that, so that we can understand how to use these tools properly and where most promises of it actually fall very short of the goal that you're hoping for. So first off, Advantage campaigns run on the same engine as broad targeting. Part of the reason that Advantage Plus campaigns are so effective for so many people is because they're finally embracing broad targeting like they should have been doing 5 years ago. And even the folks who swear by targeting are using Advantage Plus and say, wow, this is great, because you're finally not paying extra to exclude the vast majority of good people, and you're starting to treat the relationship with Facebook as one where you respect your partner instead of you having disrespect for your business partners and their customers as a standard operating procedure for your business, which honestly defines probably 90% of Facebook marketers. So let's get into the difference here. Normal, standard campaigns ultimately prioritize the end user experience. Facebook wants to give people the best possible experience, so they come back on Facebook and on Instagram and WhatsApp and all of that, and they spend as much time as possible. Advantage Plus is a far more aggressive version of this, which is basically showing ads to people because of where they are in their funnel, in their customer journey, not because of what they want to see. And remember, the average customer journey is weeks, months, years long. And just because somebody is not in your funnel, just because you're showing them an ad for the very first time, doesn't mean that they're not bottom of funnel in their purchase intent. Remember what we talked about with the New Balance ads. 2/3 of our spend for first impression was to somebody that had abandoned cart to one of our primary competitors in the last 7 days. People are seeing your content because they want to buy the thing that you're selling. Advantage Plus says, we don't even necessarily care as much about the end user experience. We want the advertiser to show as many ads as possible to people who are mid and bottom funnel in their journey, even if they've never heard of the brand doing the advertising at all yet. Because all of the signals show that they're in market for what's being sold or offered. Now, ultimately, this creates two big problems. First, it manufactures ad fatigue in a way that we would otherwise not ever need to see, because instead of showing people positive experiences, you're trying to extract money from as many people as possible, which ultimately means your ads get served to people in a way that creates more harm in their experience, so your estimated action rate goes down and your relationship with Facebook deteriorates a little bit. So ultimately, while you're trying to make as many sales as you can, you're doing so by forcing sales messaging onto people who don't want to see it. So as a result, our estimated action rate goes down and our advertiser score also deteriorates, which means ultimately our CPMs go up and our quality of a relationship with Facebook as our business partner also depreciates. And that causes a lot of harm down the road. The other problem here is because we're trying to force our advertising onto people who are already in the funnel, it means we're far less likely to reach net new people. We're not growing the business nearly as much as trying to extract all the sales of people who are already in the funnel, where we're also competing with everybody else, paying higher and higher prices to try to jam our advertising to those individuals. But we're not growing the size of the pie, which means ultimately part one says we're deteriorating our relationship with Facebook, which means we're going to get lower quality inventory and we're going to pay more money for it in a way that ultimately harms the long-term growth of our ad account. And we're doing so in a way that ultimately harms our ability to scale, because instead of bringing more people into the funnel, we're trying to extract as much value out of what's already there. We're not making the pie bigger. We're not growing our opportunity. We're trying to get blood from a stone and ultimately extract as much money as we can from a set inventory where everybody else is competing for the same individuals, which ultimately is a depreciating asset of an investment, and is why we see these Advantage Plus campaigns not scale brands. And then the second part of this is that we're doing so in a way where we're not actually growing the funnel. We're doing a very poor job of bringing net new people into the business. Instead, we're trying to capitalize on the intent made by other people, and there's a lot of opportunity there. The problem is it's far more expensive, there's way more competition, and your rate of growth will be heavily impeded because you're not trying to actually grow the business. You're just trying to steal sales from everybody else. That's a problem. Now, I know you're loving this video, but sadly, YouTube only has a like button. So go ahead and smash it aggressively with enthusiasm. And don't forget to hit subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss any other content. With that being said, let's get back to it. So let's talk about the upside. Advantage Plus campaigns, especially if you've been using lookalikes and retargeting and interest groups and all of this other nonsense, can absolutely help you grow profit, but it won't help you grow the business nearly as well as not using them at all. But it will limit your ability to grow. Using it ultimately means less net new money, especially when you extrapolate it out over time, and reaching fewer net new people. So you're making less money over time and you're gonna bring in fewer people into your funnel. So ultimately, this isn't scalable and it's a liability if you're relying solely on it. So where's the value in here? Because there absolutely is some. Well, let me tell you. Because we know that it creates ad fatigue, and because we know it does a very good job of forcing impressions on people that are mid or bottom funnel in their customer journey, even if they have never seen us before, we can use it to create ad fatigue against our own control ads. Remember, if you're using a one campaign setup where you've got a control environment and a few dynamic creative tests to improve upon it, you might be sitting in a spot where some of your ads are so good you can't test. Well, what if we now say, you're so good, you're a liability? How do we maximize the opportunity of an asset like that? We can put that single post ID into an Advantage Plus campaign where it becomes far more aggressive at reaching people who are already in the buying spirit. And we know that ad's gonna do very well there, but it comes at the expense of the long-term stability of that ad, which creates opportunity for our dynamic creative tests to earn more spend share. And then ultimately, if we have a single campaign with some ads that are so good we can never test anymore, we can now leverage those proven assets to generate more revenue in a way that also depreciates their value, which lets us continue to do more testing so that we can focus on scaling efficiency for the future. And one of the things we have to remember here is because it is so aggressive to people who are mid and bottom funnel, very much just like cost caps and retargeting and lookalikes, they're using predictive algorithms to reach people, not necessarily because your content is gonna give them the best experience on the platform, but you're more forcing your message onto people and kind of disrespecting them as a standard operating procedure. You're going to see less incremental revenue from your Facebook ads. Your report might look great, but if you increase your sales on Facebook by 20%, your bank account might only raise by 5 or 10 because these aren't necessarily net new sales that you're not getting from other channels as well. And that's one of the biggest issues that we have to balance out. Is it worthwhile for us to ultimately take data, depreciate our relationship with the platform to generate a higher volume of sales in the platform in a way that does not linearly grow our bank account? The honest truth is, for most people, just like with retargeting, just like with lookalikes, just like with cost caps, it's a very sexy liability that ultimately creates more harm than good. All right, so let's wrap this up because I know this is a very highly technical topic. Number one, Advantage Plus campaigns are extraordinarily good at showing your ads to people who are in the market to buy. Number two, that ultimately means that your ads will fatigue in a way that otherwise they wouldn't have to because you're forcing bad experiences onto people as a standard operating procedure. Number three, because you're forcing bad experiences onto people, your cost of advertising across all of your campaign will go up and the quality of impressions that you buy go down. Remember, above the fold impressions are cheaper and earned. And number 4, yes, these often generate better revenue, especially on the platform. But the added purchase conversion value that you see in the Facebook report in no way is a direct one-to-one correlation with the added revenue you get as a business. So ultimately, all of those things put together means that this is depreciating our proven ads in a way that raises our advertising costs and ultimately doesn't necessarily bring us nearly as much money as we think we're getting. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. If you use it sparingly, like with cost caps, if you want to use them, use 10% of your budget there to take your best proven ads and use the data you have to force those impressions onto a small select group of people so that you can ultimately bring down your overall blended CPA and create some depreciation in your proven assets, because ultimately you've maxed out your ability to scale efficiency. You cannot get any cheaper on your CPA in an omni-channel fashion, and your ads are so good you can't run any creative tests in a CBO with DCT. So we make our strongest players a little bit weaker by forcing those messages onto people who are more prone to buy. And ultimately, it's a leveraged depreciation to create more opportunity. That works really well. So in summary, it can be good, especially in the short term. But if you want to ultimately grow your business, it's more than likely a liability, and it should only be used sparingly with proven assets. And remember, if your standard operating procedure as a business is to invest heavily in depreciating the value of your relationship with your vendors in a way that also increases the cost of advertising and brings you less net new customers and doesn't incrementally grow your business nearly as well as you could otherwise, basically what you're doing is say, I'm going to get rich by buying depreciating assets. That doesn't make any sense. Nobody ever got rich by buying things high and then watching it as it gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and lower in value till eventually they're broke. That doesn't work. So the more you're using Advantage Plus and cost caps and lookalikes and retargeting and all of these other liabilities, the more your Facebook advertising cost is going to go up. Your CPMs are going to go up. Your revenue isn't going to go up nearly as fast as it used to. And your funnel is going to dry out. So be strategic and understand, do I really need this? The honest truth is 80-90% of you don't. It's a liability and a luxury that you don't need and can't afford. And that's totally fine. Running an Advantage Plus campaign won't solve the problem that you have if you're not yet running only broad. If you're not yet using DCTs in a single campaign with CBO. If you're still promoting a few different products or a dozen different offers. If you're still doing a ton of creative tests and a ton of landing page tests all at the same exact time, you can actually just optimize your operations instead of introducing more instability and higher costs as an effort to ultimately produce a better business, which again doesn't make any sense. So to close this out, Advantage Plus is sexy, it's fun, and it's useful, but it's also a luxury and a liability that you probably don't need. Now, what we want to do in business is invest in appreciating assets, buy things low, and stick with it as it continues to be worth more and more value. And the way that I try to provide appreciating value, and the number one investment you can make in Facebook ads to ultimately see a greater appreciating value, is investing in education for yourself. Down below, you'll see links to the Disruptor School and the Facebook Ads MBA program. Those are the single best investments you can make if running Facebook ads and growing a business is your ultimate goal. You'll also see links for my newsletter. You'll see also links for the merch store and a few other goodies in there too. So that being said, YouTube thinks you might like a couple of these videos. Don't forget to smash the button. And until next time, I'll see you on the internet. Bye.